Dean Thomas was a half-blood wizard who attended Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry at the same time as the famous Harry Potter, and was also sorted into Gryffindor House. He spent much of the Second Wizarding War on the run, believing he himself was muggle-born. This is the life of Dean Thomas. Is the son of a wizard father and a muggle mother, though he believed he was muggle-born when he went to Hogwarts originally. His father left when Dean was very young, never telling his wife that he was a wizard, out of the belief that not knowing the truth would protect her and their son from the potential dangers of the First Wizarding War. Dean's father was later killed by a group of Death Eaters when he refused to join them. Dean's mother later remarried a muggle, who raised Dean as his own son. They lived in London with several half-siblings who are implied to all be female. He had a very happy home life and was also a supporter of West Ham United Football Club. Dean was very artistic and showed off his talent throughout his school career. All of Dean's half-siblings were non-magical. The arrival of an acceptance letter for Dean from Hogwarts caused his mother to suspect that Dean's biological father may have been a wizard, and her suspicions were correct. He was in fact a wizard. However, she never had proof of this, and Dean was believed to be muggle-born. He started his education at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry on September 1st, 1991, and he was in the same year as the famous Harry Potter. During the welcoming feast, he was sorted into Gryffindor House, where he met with fellow Gryffindor classmate Seamus Finnegan. Dean shared a dormitory with Seamus, who soon became his best friend, along with Neville Longbottom, Ron Weasley and Harry Potter, with whom he later became good friends with also. Due to his muggle upbringing, Dean, like Harry, was not a supporter of Quidditch, as he had never heard of the sport, though he would eventually become quite a skilled player. However, he still hung a West Ham United football team poster above his bed, much to the bemusement of Ron, who could not believe Dean would find a game with only one ball, 2 goals, and where no one was allowed to fly interesting, prodding the poster in an attempt to get the football players to move. Dean, being artistic, drew a banner entitled "Potter for President" for his dorm mate Harry Potter during the latter's first Quidditch match. The poster pictured a realistically painted Gryffindor line that, due to Hermione Granger's enchantment, changed colours throughout the game. When Harry was fouled by Marcus Flint, Dean demanded that the referee send Flint off with a red card, and Ron Weasley explained that the red card rule did not exist in Quidditch. In his second year, Dean Thomas joined the Dueling Club, a precocial club taught by Gilderoy Lockhart in an attempt to train students in battle against any possible danger that may be lurking around Hogwarts. He, among other students, shared their speculation about the Chamber of Secrets and what might be inside, and also how to get in. Dean was about to make a correct speculation, but Professor Binns cut him short before he could finish. Dean believed to be at risk of being attacked as he was a presumed muggle-born, and muggle-born students were being attacked throughout the year by a mysterious monster. In his third year, Dean would now be allowed to visit the village of Hogsmeade, and he expressed positive interest in the new Care of Magical Creatures class taught by Rubeus Hagrid, as he had always got on with him. However, in their first lesson, when Hagrid introduced the class to a hippogriff named Buckbeak, Dean stepped back and showed fear when Hagrid asked for a volunteer to pet him. Also in this year, Dean would take on the subject of divination and was, along with Lavender Brown, one of the few students in their class unfamiliar with the Grim. That year, Hogwarts became under the protection of the Mentors, following the hysteria surrounding the Azkaban escapee, Sirius Black. During Dean's fourth year, Hogwarts hosted the Triwizard Tournament, and his friend Harry Potter had qualified as an underaged champion. This was against the tournament rules, so Harry was not the popular choice for the Hogwarts representative, and instead most support was given to Cedric Diggory by Dean's peers. However, Dean and other fellow Gryffindors supported Harry throughout the course of the tournament, staying loyal to their housemate. Dean would also be allowed to attend the Yule Ball as part of tournament traditions. He commented that Harry and Ron were lucky to get the prettiest girls in the year, as their dates, twin sisters Parvati and Padma Patil, who were both highly sought after. It's actually unknown who Dean attended the dance with, but his best friend Seamus Finnegan was going with Lavender Brown, and Neville Longbottom was going with Ginny Weasley. Later on in the tournament, after Ron Weasley had forgiven Harry, Dean also seemed to be more supportive. After the third and final task, Harry returned to Hogwarts with Cedric Diggory's dead body, and he said that Lord Voldemort was at large once again. Albus Dumbledore took this information, and at the end of the year, he gathered students for a memorial feast to Cedric Diggory, in which he informed them about the events that took place during the third task. During Dean's 5th year, Dolores Umbridge was appointed to Hogwarts School to act as the eyes of the minister. Umbridge did not get along well with Dean. During their first lesson, they argued openly about their opinions on teaching methods at Hogwarts. She called Remus Lupin a dangerous half-breed, which caused Dean to jump to his defence, claiming that he was the best teacher he ever had. He was also very supportive of Harry's claims that Voldemort had indeed returned. Additionally, he and Seamus argued when Dean believed Harry about Voldemort returning, and Seamus didn't. She eventually caused an uproar amongst the students, and when it came time to fight back, Dean was one of the first to arrive for the inaugural meeting of the group that later became Dumbledore's army in 1995, and his support for his friends does not appear to have faltered, even though Seamus, his best friend, initially believed that the smear campaign the Daily Prophet launched against Harry and Dumbledore over their claims that Voldemort had returned was actually true. Also that year, Dean accidentally insulted his new divination teacher Firenze after Umbridge sacked Sybil Trelawney. Firenze was telling Dean that he had been banished by his herd living in the Forbidden Forest, and Dean was excited to discover there were more centaurs around the school grounds, and asked him if Hagrid was breeding them. Firenze told Dean that centaurs were their own race and had little to do with humans and did not require help to breed, which caused Dean to become extremely embarrassed. During his 5th year, Dean took his OWL exams, and after he finished, he was pleased to hear that the results would not arrive until sometime in July, meaning he did not have to worry about them until the middle of the school holidays. Later in the year, Umbridge and her inquisitorial squad would discover the DA, and the meeting would end for the year. Sometime around the end of his 5th year, Dean became romantically involved with Ginny Weasley, and the two continued dating well into his 6th year. In his 6th year, Dean replaced Katie Bell as the chaser for the Gryffindor Quidditch team. He replaced her after she was hospitalised for touching a highly cursed necklace. At first, Dean's relationship with Ginny Weasley seemed to be strong, as the couple spent a lot of time together. They dated in spite of her older brother Ron's disapproval. However, despite the amount of time they spent together, their relationship began to spiral downwards. This was in part due to Ginny's feelings for Harry Potter. She had harboured affection for Harry since her first year at Hogwarts. At the end of her first year, her affections only intensified when Harry saved her from the influence of Tom Riddle's diary. Ginny still maintained hope that Harry would one day return her feelings. However, she started dating Dean and a few other boys to keep her mind off Harry. Ginny also showed Dean her willingness to continue standing up for Harry. For example, when she became angry at Dean for laughing about Harry getting hit by a bludger. This accident knocked Harry out and left him with a cracked skull during the Quidditch game, which made Ginny visit him in the hospital wing afterwards. It is possible that when Ginny learned from Dean during their visit to Madame Puddifoot's tea shop 5 months prior about Harry inadvertently casting the Levicorpus charm on Ron when reading it from the Half-Blood Prince's copy of Advanced Potion Making the night before, she may have berated him as for laughing with Seamus about that as well. As a result, Dean became overly solicitous with her, trying not to provoke another argument to keep their relationship going, which increasingly annoyed Ginny. According to Hermione, when Harry bumped into Ginny while climbing through the Gryffindor common room entrance under his invisibility cloak and under the influence of Felix Felicis, Ginny believed that it was Dean who kept trying to help her through the portrait hole, and the two argued over it. Dean stuck to his ground, saying he did not help her through, and Ginny ended their relationship. Dean was shocked at the insensitivity of his friend Harry when this happened, not knowing an invisible Harry was the true culprit and cause. Harry and Ginny shared a kiss at the Quidditch party soon after she broke up with him, and Dean broke his glass in astonishment that his roommate and ex-girlfriend would start a romance so soon. Despite this, Dean shared no hate to either Ginny or Harry for their relationship. He was just very hurt that they would do such a thing so shortly after he was dumped by her. Later on in the same year, also seeing the death of Hogwarts headmaster Albus Dumbledore. Dean attended his funeral with his best friend Seamus Finnegan after Seamus had rowed rather publicly with his mother to allow him to stay for the ceremony. This will be the last year Dean attended education at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, as the following year he would not return for his own safety. Dean's presumed muggle-born status put him on the run from the Ministry of Magic. He went on the run after the ministry fell under the control of Lord Voldemort and began rounding up muggle-born wizards and witches. The ministry also imprisoned them in Azkaban for allegedly stealing magic. This also meant he could not return to study for his final year of education at Hogwarts, as they now had a strict no muggle-born policy under the influence of new headmaster Severus Snape. At some point while on the run, Dean met Ted Tonks, father of Order of the Phoenix member Nymphadora Tonks, and travelled with him, later joining a group of fellow runaways, muggle-born wizard Dirk Cresswell and goblins Griphook and Gornock. The group stuck together and camped in different areas in an attempt to mislead any trails they may have left. At one point whilst on the run, Dean travelled alone with Griphook, most likely after the others were killed. Dean and Griphook often shared conversations about Harry Potter, Dean fully supporting Harry in his quest, and Griphook somewhat doubtful and occasionally finding the mentioning of Harry's name tedious. One evening they were overheard by Harry, Hermione and Ron, who were also in hiding. Dean expressed his worry at hearing that his former girlfriend, Ginny Weasley, had gotten into trouble back at Hogwarts, as well as the belief that Harry was fighting Voldemort. Later, the group of fugitives were found by a group of snatchers that was led by Fenrir Greyback. Dean and Griphook were the only survivors of the violent capture. Around the same time, Harry Potter triggered the taboo curse on Voldemort's name, alerting the snatchers to his location. Ron and Hermione were also captured as they were with him, and the prisoners were all brought to Malfoy Manor, the Death Eater headquarters. All of them but Hermione, who was tortured with the Cruciatus curse by Bellatrix Lestrange, were imprisoned in the dungeons in the basement, where Luna Lovegood and Mr. Ollivander were already being held. Luna had an old nail and used this to cut the ropes binding the group loose, and she greeted Dean in a friendly manner. Held down in the basement of Malfoy Manor, the group had to listen helplessly as they overheard Hermione being tortured for information on the levels above. However, the group was soon rescued by Dobby the House Elf, who was sadly fatally injured shortly after successfully transporting them to the home of Bill Weasley and Fleur Delacour, Shell Cottage. Dean helped Harry and Ron dig a grave for Dobby by hand to show gratitude, rather than do it with magic. He also placed a woolly hat on top of Dobby to represent that Dobby was a free elf. At the funeral, Dean expressed his thanks and gratitude to the elf for rescuing them. Dean spent the next few months hiding at Shell Cottage with Luna, Griphook and the trio. During this time, Dean and Luna seemed to grow close, despite Dean's bemusement at some of the comments she would make. Mr. Ollivander was able to make Luna a new wand, but Dean was left without one. Harry, Hermione and Ron were all using wands that they had taken at Malfoy Manor, and soon left the cottage with Griphook to break into Gringotts Wizarding Bank. In May of 1998, Dean, Luna, Bill and Fleur received a call to arms from Dumbledore's army via Dumbledore's army coins, as the trio had returned to Hogwarts. Despite not even having a wand, Dean returned anyway. When he entered the room of requirement, Seamus Finnegan ran forward and hugged him. Dean then fought with his fellow DA members in the Battle of Hogwarts, at some point winning himself a wand. During the battle, the trio spotted Dean and Parvati Patil fighting against Antonin Dolohov and Travers, stunning the other Death Eaters. When Lord Voldemort and all of his followers arrived at the castle, Dean stood strong with other loyal members of Dumbledore's army, including Neville Longbottom, who slew Nagini. The Battle of Hogwarts ended with a final duel between Harry Potter and Lord Voldemort, which Dean stood amongst the crowd of supporters and witnessed. He also survived the attacks at the end, in which Dumbledore's army fought back after Harry's supposed death. After the battle, Dean was seen talking with Seamus and Aberforth Dumbledore. And that is all for today's video, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing to the channel if it is your first time watching. And if you're a fan of the channel and feel like you'd like to contribute, my restructured Patreon account is up and running, and in exchange for your contribution of a minimum of $1 a month, there are many rewards you can receive, like suggesting one of my upcoming videos, exclusive Patreon only videos for you to watch, and even one-to-one Skype calls where we can hang out and talk everything Harry Potter or anything in general. So please make sure to check out some of my other videos on the left hand side of the screen. My second channel, Game of Thrones Lore, is on the right hand side of the screen. And if you want to check out some merch, I've got a merch store on the bottom right, or you can click the link in the description below. Thanks again everyone, and I hope you all have a great day.